Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
But what the heck is this? Because look at that Masonic temple. You see that? The Masonic symbol? Are you flipping kidding me? Look at this. Masonic. And gosh darn it. We may not be going much further. But what the heck is this? That is completely obnoxious. Oh, shit. And inside is this deep Masonic crazy stuff. We weren't able to make it into Masonic orders ritual done.
I'm just curious, if you're out on public lands and you come across something like that, if that's public lands, can't you technically destroy that? Because you can't erect a private structure on public lands and expect it to just stay there. So I wonder if you'd even get in trouble for trying to break into that thing outside of the trouble that you'd be in from, you know, the Freemasons, whatever it is that they'd be able to do to you.
Where did Jesus go when he disappeared from the Bible? In the Bible, he's gone. Age of 12, poof, he's gone. Where did he go? He goes to Egypt. And when I take people on these grand tours of Egypt, I take them to the place where Jesus actually slept, where he lived for some time in Coptic Cairo. The bed that he slept in is a shrine that's still there till this very day, and it's guarded. And so he went to Egypt. Why did he go to Egypt? He went there to learn the Egyptian mysteries. From who? Tahuti. He was a student of Tahuti. Right? So now, when we say, could he either be Tahuti or is a student of Tahuti? Well, that's a much deeper conversation. That might be a whole other podcast, because this guy was such a wizard and magician. He had come back and incarnated at will over 10,000 lives, right? According to the Emerald Tablets, over the course of 100,000 years. Could he have gotten bored with that and said, you know, I want to come through a womb of a woman and come out and see life as a human being and regain all my memory? So it's a possibility. But either way, he disappears out of the Bible at the age of 12. He goes to Egypt. He learns the Egyptian mysteries. Then there's a record of him going throughout Egypt, into Nubia, and then even leaving there and going to Tibet. What did he learn in Tibet? Yeah. In Tibet, he learned how to heal with his hands. He learned the art of Qigong, Reiki, and all these other healing modalities through moving energy through the body. So he became a healer. Again, something that would be considered to be magic-like. And then from there, and that was confirmed by the Dalai Lama, by the way. Then he moved from there down into India, learning the mystic arts. Again, more quote-unquote magic. And from there, teaching reincarnation all the way back to Egypt. And then from there, the Bible picks back up at the age of 32. He says, God says, I call my son out of Egypt. And then the next thing you know, he appears at the age of 32, riding in on the back of a donkey into Jerusalem.
I don't subscribe to the theory that this guy reincarnated himself over tens of thousands of years. That just seems so far-fetched. We've never seen any proof of reincarnation or anything like that. I think it's really cool that he has traced all this stuff back and potentially closed the gap on where Jesus was during the missing section of the Bible. Guys, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I'm extremely sick. I've thrown up like a dozen times this morning since I woke up. I'm starting this video about 3 hours later than usual. If it seems like I'm just not into it, I am. It's just, I'm not feeling great. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that.
The worst part is that imported beef is legally labeled product of the USA.
How's that?
If value is added in this country, it's a product of the USA.
What?
And we compete with it every day.
How did they add value?
If they grind it, slice it, cut it, package it, label it,
rebox it,
transport it. But the animal, make no mistake, the animal was born, raised, and slaughtered in Uruguay, Australia, New Zealand, or 20 other countries.
Lithuania, Croatia.
The United States imports beef from places like Australia, Canada, and much of Latin America. It then runs that beef through USDA inspection, and if it passes, sticks a label on it that reads product of the USA. How dare you?
That's pretty infuriating. We're eating meat that's traveled all the way across the ocean from these other third world countries where who knows how these animals are being raised. And that's what they're feeding us. Then they're going to lie to us about where it came from. Our government doesn't care about us at all.
What about Jeffrey Epstein? I think there were $600 million recovered in cash and assets in his estate. They do not know now where that money came from.
600 million?
Yes. We don't know where he made his money. He was not running a hedge fund. That's not true. The second thing we know for a fact is that he was killed in federal custody. He was murdered. That's true. He was murdered in the special housing unit of federal lockup in Manhattan. They moved someone out of his cell. They put two people, one of whom was not even a full-time prison guard, on duty. None of the cameras trained on the cell worked. They locked the front of the special housing unit that had 8 cells in it, but then they opened all the cells inside. There were 14 other inmates there that night. What are their names? Where'd they go? Who were these people? Can't tell you that. Really? You can't tell me that? On the basis of what? Meanwhile, Bill Barr lied. There's no question that Bill Barr clearly suspected Epstein was murdered, but stopped the investigation into it. Whoever did it was able to do it in the most secure lockdown in the United States of America and then get away with it. So that tells you a lot about whoever that group of people was. They're no one to. The list of people who wanted to kill Epstein was so long, it could be anybody.
Not only did they get away with it, there's not even an active investigation into it. It's just being overlooked. No matter how much it's brought up in the media, no matter how much people are crying out online that they want justice for all these victims, and it's just been overlooked because there's too many people that'll be hurt. But yeah, if you think, I saw a shirt the other day that says it best, Epstein didn't Epstein himself. If you don't see anything suspicious in regards to how that dude ended up going away, you're asleep and snoring. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, I'm making a new one just like it every single day. It would be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me.
You guys can kind of see that. See, there's the blue roof. And here's another beautiful, stunning building. And, you know, you see all this, and these are all different places. Alcatraz. And look, you can see Alcatraz was already there. You know, so you start to see this, and you start to see that all these buildings were already there, but somebody was taking photos. Here's a big, huge red brick building, which we know red bricks create energy. You guys can kind of see that. Out on the shore, which, you know, think of how hard it would be to build on the shore as well. So now you got your horse in your wagon, and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to build on this beach, and I'm going to make it, I'm going to set it. And what's interesting is, we then go to a flip side, because I want to kind of show you guys. We go to Chicago, 1893, 83. So, let me see if I can hold that up. So that is Chicago, 1893. And these are the same buildings which are present in San Francisco. These are the same buildings which are presented in New York City. These are the same buildings that are presented in St. Louis. These are the same buildings that are in South Carolina, that are in Florida, that are in Texas, that are in California. All while the population is not that high. You know, you go to 1890s, the population is not that high at that time. But you have buildings like this all over the United States that all miraculously burnt down due to fires, or if it wasn't a fire, it was a hurricane that took out buildings which were made out of 500,000 pounds of granite. Now, what really happened is there was TNT, and they got rid of a lot of this stuff, so that we wouldn't know our true history, and that these buildings were not temporary, because they don't look too temporary. I mean, look at how much work it would take to build all those things. And then you get into a couple more, and you guys can see just solid buildings. Now, from there, we go back to San Francisco.
I'm still not convinced, and I think that looking at the old buildings from the Chicago's World Fair and stuff like that to try to prove Tartaria's existence, I think is a lost cause. I think it's the wrong area to be studying. I think it's been done to death, and too much of it does add up for it to make sense, for it to be some big conspiracy. But I will say this, I wish that I had half of the passion for anything in life that this dude has for talking about Tartaria, because he is all hung up on it.
They're giving us the finger. Apart, standing all right, on the ground.
They're on the surface. The reptilians are on the surface of the moon. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, they're standing underneath the ships.
And you saw this?
Yeah, and
were they scaly? Did they have?
Then the word came back. They're giving us the finger.
All I'm offering is the truth.
There, and we knew because we had, but we were in a position where this moon is not a moon. Okay, it's not your moon in the first place. Actually, this is not your planet. This is their laboratory. Okay?
Right. Okay, the Dracos, you mean, or the reptilians?
Draco-reptilian /
Okay.
reptilian.
And I'm going to ask you what they all look like and all that, at some point.
Okay.
Because I know. Okay, let's get to when it was it Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and he said that thing that you heard him say, and Michael wants to get real specific about this. So basically, there were 7 huge craft there, and you said on one of the shows out there, you said that the reptilians actually showed up beneath their craft, and they gave the finger.
Okay, they were parked around the side of the crater. Yeah. Okay, they were not parked on it; they were floating above it. Okay, yeah. So there were hundreds of these 9-foot reptilian guys standing with their legs.
Hundreds.
Yeah, they were all the way across the underneath their vehicles.
Okay,
standing
so
on the
9
crater.
feet, and what do they look like?
They're ugly looking, lizard, alligator type people. They got the same skin as the lizards got, okay? And terrible looking faces. But then they have the ability to shift and look like a human. All of them do, okay?
Okay, do you think von Braun was a reptilian?
No.
You really don't?
No.
Okay.
Your president, yes.
Oh, which one? George Bush Sr.? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Bill Clinton and this guy you got got rid of. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all were.
Right.
Okay. So, and they all have this ability to make themselves look like real good-looking people.
And you're saying Trump isn't one?
No, he's not. Okay.
Well, that's a relief.
And and he knows more about this subject than people realize.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
But trying to get back to your earlier question, these groups of extraterrestrials who work together but are at war with other extraterrestrials, okay, have these vehicles that look like a planet.
Right.
Like our moon is a vehicle. It's a command center for this arm. The easiest way to look at this is to put your arm out like this. And you be the center of the galaxy, all the way out to here. There's 4 arms on our galaxy. One of those arms has a place here which is called planet Earth. You're not downtown where all the action is in the galaxy. You're out here. You're in the area which galaxies, as they rotate, throw off. Okay? So you're sitting here on the tip, near the tip of the Milky Way galaxy, you, Earth. Okay? And what you need to do is visualize you are not Earth people. Okay? You are extraterrestrials, nice guys out there. So you know that this little planet is going to get thrown off, maybe not take a couple of weeks yet, but eventually it's going to get thrown off. So
that's why this is happening.
This is why this is happening. Okay? And 2,000 years from now, we'll probably be picked up with another galaxy. We're just floating out there. And this goes back to the problem that we had before about the number of years that you can live. We'll talk about that later.
I wish you would have talked about that now, because I love like extended life conspiracies and technology talks and stuff like that. Yeah, part of me kind of wishes that some of what this guy's saying is true, because heck, it would just be cool. We go to land on the moon, and there's a bunch of reptilians up there waiting for us, giving us the finger, like, what are you guys doing here? Get off our moon. But this whole, we're just floating out in space, changing from one galaxy to the next, is a little hard to believe. That's the first time I've heard that concept, and man, I've heard a lot of theories. Never even heard that one proposed, so that one's new.
Many Native American tribes tell of the long-forgotten existence of a race of humans that were much taller and stronger and sometimes more cruel than ordinary men. The Choctaw tribe has a legend about the Nahulo, a race of giants who ate human flesh. The Choctaw killed these giants whenever they could. Eventually, those giants were driven west. The Paiute settled in the Nevada desert thousands of years ago and passed down the story of a race of red-haired giants called the Sitka. And the Sitka literally means tule eaters, and tule is a strong type of reed found in swamps. Legend says the giants built rafts out of tule and arrived in Nevada thousands of years ago. But tule wasn't the only thing that the giants ate. Like the Nahulo, Sitka also ate humans. The Sitka waged war on the Paiute and all other neighboring tribes. The human tribes fought bravely, but the giants were too strong. The Sitka would often eat the people captured in battle. So after years of conflict, the tribes united, and that turned the tide of war. And in the final battle, the red-haired giants were driven into a cave. The tribes stuffed the cave entrance with sticks and brush and set it ablaze. The last remaining Sitka either suffocated or burned alive. Sarah Winnemucca Hopkins, daughter of Chief Winnemucca, was the first to write down and print the story of the Sitka. But she said this wasn't a legend, it was history. She even wore red hair taken from a giant woven into some of her clothes. When mining engineer John T. Reed heard the story in 1886, he asked to be taken to the cave, the final resting place of the Sitka giants. Reed wasn't able to finance the excavation of the cave at that time, but when valuable bat guano was discovered, people started digging.
Bat guano?
Yep, it was used to make gunpowder and explosives.
No, I mean, what is bat guano?
Oh, guano is the, waste of bats and birds.
You can make explosives out of
You can.
Okay. Do me a favor. When you clean my bowl, can you save it for me? 4th of July's coming up. I'm gonna make fireworks.
I'm not saving your I'm not saving that for fireworks.
Fine. Then to celebrate, I'll just light my farts.
You better not.
Why do you hate your country?
Lovelock Cave was excavated in 1912 and in 1924. And in 1929, the findings were published and they were surprising. Well, they weren't surprising to the Paiute. At the entrance to the cave, there was evidence of extreme scorching. At some point, a fire burned very hot and for a very long time. On one of the cave walls, an enormous handprint was found. Inside the cave, over 10,000 artifacts were recovered, including many human bones. Some of the bones showed that marrow had been removed, a sign of possible cannibalism. A sandal was found that would have fit someone who wore a size 29 shoe and would have been over 8 feet tall. And clothing was found that was too big to fit a normal-sized human. During the first dig, it was reported that the mummified remains of 2 giants were found, a female almost 7 feet tall and a male almost 9 feet tall, and both had red hair. In addition to the initial findings, even more evidence exists in Lovelock Cave and its surrounding area. According to a 1931 article published in a Nevada newspaper, 2 giant skeletons had been found buried in a dry lake bed close to Lovelock Cave, Nevada.
Were these giant gingers too?
Yep, they also had red hair. But giants weren't just found in the Nevada desert. They were found from coast to coast. Apparently, long before native tribes arrived, America was the land of the giants. In Peebles, Ohio, the Great Serpent Mound is a 1,370-foot-long prehistoric effigy mound. Nobody knows why it was built, but due to a nearby meteor impact crater, the area is full of gravitational and magnetic anomalies. Some researchers, like Richard Hamilton, believe the location for Serpent Mound was chosen specifically because of these anomalies. And for many years, there have been stories of freak weather patterns, UFO sightings, and strange lights in the area. And also found near Serpent Mound, the remains of giants. In 1872, a report appeared in the book Historical Collections of Noble County, Ohio. Someone had stumbled across enormous skeletons.
The remains of 3 skeletons were found whose size would indicate they measured in life at least 8 feet in height. The remarkable feature of these remains was they had double teeth in front, as well as in back of the mouth and in both upper and lower jaws. Upon exposure to the atmosphere, the skeletons crumbled back to Mother Earth.
That's the first time I've ever heard that fish say something that was entertaining. You can make explosives out of shit. Is that common for skeletal remains to just powder out like that whenever they get in contact with oxygen? Because that seems a little suspect. But aside from that, I think that's some of the most clear-cut evidence to the existence of giants in the past that I've ever seen. I wish I had the research abilities that the guy from the Y-Files has. I mean, his stuff is so well put together, it seems like he's got a whole team of people researching this stuff for him.
What the fuck is that? That's fucking crazy, man. What the fuck? What the fuck is that?
It almost looked like a glowing obelisk floating up in the sky. I would say it's probably just the reflection of something that's really, really bright being projected up into the sky, and it's probably just some sort of a natural optical illusion.
One of our producers gets his call from this guy who's a tenured Stanford medical school professor, and he wants to come on the show. He's got tenure at one of the most prestigious schools in the world. So, like, he's not a flake. He comes on and he's like, 11 years ago, the US government reached out to me because I'm an expert on head injuries, on brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries, as a physician, and they had all these court cases from families of US servicemen, over 100, who'd been killed by UFOs. And the Department of Defense was refusing to give them death benefits or medical benefits. And he's like, so they're in the courts. And I was like, there are over 100 servicemen killed by UFOs? Like, what? I'm like, why isn't this on the front page of the New York Times? I don't know. In a number of cases, these things have landed on military bases, including famously in Germany, in West Germany in the 70s. And servicemen have approached them, and they get traumatic brain injury, get brain damage, or they're killed. And he studied their brains. This is all totally real. This is the Department of Defense, dude.
I'm more convinced that the government is planning some sort of a secret alien invasion psyop against us than I am that there's actually going to be an alien invasion. That being said, I haven't really been that worried about it because I can see that it's coming. Just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what happens. Should be interesting, the rollout of the fake invasion. But the idea that you can't even approach these ships when they land without getting traumatic brain damage and dying from it, that gives me a little reason to worry.
If you hadn't heard yet, Nikola Tesla's laboratory in Long Island burned down yesterday. They still don't know what caused the fire, but I have a theory. That laboratory in Long Island is where Nikola Tesla famously built his tower to distribute AC electricity wirelessly, that Thomas Edison subsequently blew up because he didn't want to give people free energy. And that's not even a little bit of speculation. That's what happened. They didn't want to give people free electricity. So they tore up his contract and blew up his tower. And then they followed him to Colorado Springs and burnt down his laboratory in Colorado Springs. Go watch the movie Prestige, it's pretty accurate. But since we know he was working with enormous amounts of electricity at that laboratory in Long Island, is it possible that laboratory is now a checkpoint for time travelers? Before you say I'm crazy, remember what his friend Mark Twain said: the truth is stranger than fiction. Although if Mark Twain was friends with Tesla and knew anything about time travel, you'd think he'd make better investments. And stick with me, because it's been 80 years since Nikola Tesla's totally not suspicious death in 1943, where the FBI gave all of his information to John Trump, who is Donald Trump's uncle. And what if he actually did time travel from 1943 to 2023, and they knew he was gonna be there somehow because he went back in time from 2020? I'm working out the kinks, but there's something there!
That's certainly a fun theory. It's absolutely ludicrous. There's no way it's real. I thought it was fun anyway, so something new to think about. I do, however, find it very suspicious anytime anything like that burns down that was a major historical landmark, especially whenever there's already a suspicious history around that location. But it was fun anyway.
Ever wondered why the ancients used to hold canes? The Earth is electromagnetic. The canes they use were made out of wood and metal, cause it conducts electricity and allows them to be grounded to the Earth. Modern-day canes have rubber bottoms, just like our shoes have rubber bottoms. This was done on purpose to keep us from being grounded from the Earth. Grounding reduces inflammation and charges the electromagnetic field off the body. The ancients understood that the body is an electrical machine. This is why these 2,000-year-old shoes have metal plates on the bottom. Every single cell, every single organ has its own electromagnetic field. Our spirit is our spiraling energy field. Putting on the armor of God in the Bible means to have a strong electromagnetic field. Comment what you think below and follow for more videos like this.
So I put this in here because back in May of this year, well, actually May of last year now, it's the 1st. So back in May of 2023, I had a pretty severe back injury, and I couldn't walk unassisted. I couldn't sleep at night. There was no way for me to get comfortable. I was just in absolute misery for months. And I saw a video about lowering inflammation, which was an issue that I had because I had a bulged disc that was pinching my sciatic nerve, and my right lower back muscle was so inflamed that it was causing extra compression against that nerve. And we had tried everything for months to get the inflammation to go down, and it just constantly looked like I had recently injured it. I saw a YouTube video talking about reducing inflammation by grounding. So what I did was I started going out every day for about 20 to 30 minutes and just sitting on the bottom step of my front porch and putting my feet in the dirt. And just like that, I was able to go to sleep at night. The inflammation, it was so swollen, you could visibly see it through my shirt that my lower back was swollen on the right side. And the day that I started doing that, the inflammation completely disappeared. And I was able to somewhat comfortably lay down and actually get some sleep. And a lot of my symptoms went away. They're not completely gone, but no one will ever convince me there's not something to that grounding thing, specifically because of that.
69% of all of our abductees are Rh negative.
That's amazing.
And it's weird because no one knows where Rh negative came from. It appeared 35 or 45,000 years ago out of the blue. Rh negative people's personalities are different than Rh positive personalities. Their psychic abilities tend to stand out more. A lot of politicians and a lot of movie stars are Rh negative.
So do you think the Rh negative people might have been hybrids?
Whoever or whatever created this mutation way back in the day, it was intentional.
Could the Rh negative trait actually have came from interbreeding with an ancient alien race known as the Anunnaki? Many ancient theorists believe yes, and here's why. People on average who are Rh negative tend to have light skin and light eyes. They have really good vision, along with their other senses being heightened. Some of them have been known to be born with an extra vertebrae and have tails. And many people believe that we never evolved from apes at all, that we were actually evolved or made by an ancient alien being. And this is due to us having tails during a large portion of our fetal development. But when born, Rh negatives have a lower body temperature on average. They also have lower blood pressure. They've also been known to have webbed toes at birth, many traits which are similar to that of a reptile, while others believe we evolved from the Hyperborean race or the Nordics. Stay tuned for more videos.
So I didn't know anything about all this Rh negative stuff. I knew that it existed, but I didn't know like how deep the conspiracy stuff was around it until it was suggested by a viewer. And my wife is actually Rh negative and I'm Rh positive, and she had to get, I think it's called a ROGAM shot during her first pregnancy so that my oldest daughter wouldn't die. Yeah, I didn't know that this probably means that she's got some alien DNA and I probably shouldn't be mating with her. That's a joke, of course. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. That's going to be the end of this video. I hope that my lack of enthusiasm has not brought down the mood of the video in any way. I'm already feeling better than I did this morning whenever I got up, so I should be back to normal tomorrow, I feel like. I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone. You know, I've only been doing this for about a month and a half. I've already gotten up to almost 15,000 subscribers, and you guys have just been awesome. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. I will definitely be back here tomorrow with another video, even if I'm sick. So you guys come and join me. Have a great, safe, happy day. Enjoy the first day of 2024. I will see you tomorrow.